Hello, everybody. It's Mr. Yamas again with our seventh online lecture, and we're going to the fun stuff already. So, in this case, we're going to go with the Great War, and it's called the Great War, not World War One yet, because obviously we have not covered World War Two. So, once we have World War Two, then we can start calling this one the Great World War One. And as of right now, we're just gonna call it the Great War, and we're gonna go over it uh, uh, and talk a little bit about what happened, how they fought, the United States, and why it started, and that's what we want to go ahead and get started with right now. The main causes of the Great War. So the main causes you can see right here, main is done into an acronym, right? So main causes, the main causes of the Great War are militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. We already know about imperialism, which is taking other territories by force for resources. But why were they doing imperialism? Why is this going to cause? Why was this going to be a cause for the Great War? So, for example, countries were building up their military. That's the militarism part, the M here. They were building up a military for protection and just in case. Well, just in case I need to fight you, I have a military. And so if you're going to have that, then that's going to be a problem with another country. It's like, why are you building a military? Let me build mine. So then you have two or three or four countries building up military and it's causing tensions. Alliances is having friends to back me up. So, for example, you make an agreement with a country and you start saying, hey, just in case this other country comes and attacks me, right? Are you willing to help me out and send me troops or send me stuff so that I can fight them? Or you want to join and fight as well? That's an alliance system. So countries were making alliances just in case, just in case this other country hits me. Imperialism, again, taking other territories by force, and nationalism. Countries thought that they were superior to other countries, and so, for example, the United States thinks we are the best country, and we are the best country, and we are the number one country on earth. But then you have Germany saying, no, we are the best country. We are the number one country on earth. But then you have Japan saying the same thing, and you have Russia and France and Great Britain saying the same thing. So all these causes right here were just tensions. Again, building up the military was causing tensions, which means that another country was going to build up their military. Friends and between countries were happening. Alliances were happening. Countries were taking other countries by force for the resources, for oil, for steel, for rubber, for anything. And then nationalism, countries thought they were superior to each other, that they were superior. The assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand was the spark, really. That was the number one thing that's, all right, let's go. Okay, that's what's going to give start to World War One or to the Great War. June of 1914, the Archduke, which is this guy right here, the Archduke visited Sarajevo, Serbia. Okay, so he was a Archduke from the country of Austria-Hungary. Okay, this is the wife right here, Sophie. He was the heir to the Austrian throne, so this guy was going to be the king now. This guy was going to be the emperor, or the one in charge of Austria now. But then he was visiting this city right here in Sarajevo, and then this guy, Gavrilo Princip, assassinated him. And you can see the picture here. He assassinated him. And then that's when all the friends started to come together. So, for example, Austria-Hungary, under this guy right here, he was friends with Germany and Italy. So when they declared war against Serbia, Serbia was like, oh, you're declaring war against me? Well, you're declaring war against me and my friends, Russia, France, and Great Britain too. So then now you're going to have the all-out war, which is this one right here, alliance system. You're going to have the alliances because of this assassination. So this was mainly the start of World War One or the Great War, the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Okay, again, the alliances started to come together and help each other out. So this is the map. Okay, so anything in red is called the Triple A or the Triple Alliance, Austria-Hungary, Italy, and Germany, again, versus the Triple Entente, the blue ones right here, France, United Kingdom, and Russia. And so they're all going to go together, but mostly we got to understand that this area right here where the red rectangle is, this is where it's going to be, the war is going to be mostly fought in. Okay, these are the effects of the war. So you're gonna have new tanks developing, okay? You're gonna have new machine guns. So this is all new in the war. We've never seen this in any war. So again, one of the causes was militarism, okay? Building up a military. We didn't know that these countries were building up tanks, that they were building up machine guns, that they were building chemical gases like mustard gas, that they were building flamethrowers here, you know? But the problem was that because of these new weapons, so because of these tanks and these machine guns and these mustard gases and these flamethrowers, you really couldn't advance in the war. So that's why we say they were only stuck here. That's why we say they were only stuck there. So that's where they were stuck, because they couldn't move. Because even if you just, let's say, stand up and start running, you had a machine gun waiting for you, or you had a flamethrower waiting for you. Okay? Now, this is what we call trench warfare, and a trench is something that you dig up and you stay there inside. So these are what we call trenches right here, and these trenches was basically the entire war right here. So trenches from here all the way to down here maybe, and just trenches over trenches, and that's where the war was fought mainly. Some of these soldiers started getting something called trench foot, which are these like a black foot. And it's like a flesh-eating bacteria. It just starts eating up your skin. They were getting heavily injured. So let's say this guy peeked up right here, and then like a bullet scratched him because someone over there was with a sniper on the other end. And again, it's called trench warfare. So this was mainly World War I. It was just trench warfare with these new weapons. Okay, that's really it for World War I. There's more, obviously, and I'm going to cover the rest right now, but this is what the images of World War I that we need to look at. Again, trench warfare, trenches, digging up, new weapons like tanks, machine guns, mustard gas, which that's why these people had to wear masks now, flamethrowers, and these are the trenches right here. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about why the United States hadn't joined and why they eventually joined in 1917. So, for example, the United States joins in 1917, but before that, the war starts in 1914. Okay, that's what it says here. Europe, 1914 is just happening here in Europe. But the United States is isolationist. And for those who want to learn what the word isolationist is, I did this stuff right here. I sola, which translated means I'm alone. I sola, right? Isolationist means alone. We don't want to get involved. We want to remain neutral. And this is the parking, reverse, neutral drive in a car. They want to remain neutral. They want to stay in parking. Okay, they don't want to do anything. They just want to stay there. But then, there's going to be two reasons why the United States is going to join. Okay, one is the sinking of the boat, the Lusitania, by German U-boats. U-boats is just an acronym for the German word submarine. So they're going to have new submarines. And apparently, they say the Germans are going to say, oh, we thought that was an enemy warboat, and so we shot it down. But that ship was just a passenger ship. It was like a cruise ship. It was like, it's just a ship to get from one place to another. And then that passenger ship had Americans on board, and so it killed Americans. And so the United States was now calling for revenge. In other words, let's go to Germany. You know, why are they attacking us? The Lusitania is sunk by a submarine. And this is a New York Times report, that the newspaper that I was giving at that time. And the second reason why the United States eventually is going to join the war was because Germany is going to send a letter to our neighbors in the south, Mexico. Okay? This is a picture right here. And it basically says this: if you join with Germany, you know, you join the alliance with us, and if the United States attacks us, you attack back the United States, Mexico, then if we win the war as Germany and Mexico, then we're going to give you Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico back. That's exactly what it starts to say at this point. If you join us, then we're going to give you Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico if we win the war. This letter was intercepted by some British, and then it was given to us, to the United States, and that's exactly when we said, we're done. We're not, Germany, you're provoking us. You already sunk the ship, the Lusitania, and you sent this letter to our neighbors down south, at that point telling them to attack us if we attack you. That doesn't make any sense. Let's go to war. So finally, the United States joins in 1917. A year later, the war is going to end. This is going to continue. The United States is going to be sent to this part of the war right here. United States doughboys, as we call them, or troops. They're going to be sent right here. And then they're going to fight against Germany. Okay, they're going to fight against Germany. And then the end of the Great War, what's going to happen? On the 11th hour, that means at 11 a.m. of the 11th day and of the 11th month. So at 11 a.m. on November 11th, 1918, 11/11/11, the Great War officially ended. Okay, there was a treaty signed, the Treaty of Versailles. Okay, and that's and yes, if you remember from the French Revolution lecture, the Palace of Versailles, where King Louis and Marie Antoinette lived, and then the French peasants went to go storm it and eventually destroyed it. They go to that Palace of Versailles and they do the Treaty of Versailles, where officially Germany is going to surrender. Germany is officially going to surrender. And it's going to give most of its territories to the League of Nations. The League of Nations is going to be this international organization. And it's going to give territory, so it's going to lose territories. It's going to limit their arms, their forces, and equipment. So it means that you can only have a certain amount of troops, you can only have a certain amount of guns. It had to pay $33 billion in reparations. Look at all the damage that you did. So you have to pay $33 billion. And Germany was to be blamed for the war. Okay? So Germany would say, this is your fault. Germany, you have to accept it. That's what the Treaty of Versailles said. A lot of people say, and I'll name them. Let's see if you all got that. A lot of people say that the Treaty of Versailles was really unfair to the Germans because look at all the things that it was punishing them for. It was punishing them for starting the war and really leading the war. Okay? So that's the end of the Great War. And this is what's gonna happen. The next lecture is gonna talk about what happens after this and before World War II starts. So that's what we call the interwar years, and we're gonna have a completely separate lecture on this. But just for fun, guys, and you don't have to stay for this part, but just for fun, if you want to see some great war movies, some World War I movies, the number one movie that I recommend at this point, and because it just came out last year, is called 1917. And again, in 1917, that's when we joined the war. And it's called 1917, and it's a really good movie showing you how World War I really worked. It shows you the trenches, it shows you the missions, it shows you the planes, it shows you tanks, it shows you everything. And I think that's the best one. The second best one that I recommend is called War Horse by Steven Spielberg. It's amazing. That one shows you the weapons, mustard gas attack, war attack, everything, and so on and so forth. War Horse is another one. And then the last two, the Red Baron and Flyboys. That one is yes, we're gonna see an introduction of planes in World War I as well. Like we said, we're gonna see tanks, flamethrowers, machine guns, everything. So these types of planes are going to be shown also in World War I. These are great movies that I recommend if you want to learn a little bit more about World War I and just have a visual picture of it. But the number one movie I recommend, guys, 1917, okay, which is this one right here, 1917, 2019. It just came out. It's really new. But if you don't want to see them, then I recommend any of these other three movies on this side. All right. So that is World War I. Interesting stuff. You have 10 questions on this one, and then you have 10 questions on the next lecture. So if you have any questions, email or send something to your teacher, and they will answer stuff. Until next lecture.